The city awoke in a symphony of muted grays and soft pinks, the sky a canvas painted with the promise of a new beginning. But within the heart of its towering structures, a different kind of awakening was about to unfold, one woven with threads of vulnerability, courage, and the enduring power of a mother's love. The sun, a gentle artist, streamed through the panoramic windows of Peterson and Associates, its golden fingers stretching across the meticulously polished marble floor. Thomas Mitchell, a man sculpted from ambition and tailored in a charcoal suit that spoke of understated power, sat as the helm of a vast mahogany conference table. At 27, he was the CEO, a title he wore with a composed grace that belied the restless energy that fueled his every move. He was immersed in the ritual of reviewing resumes, his eyes scanning lines of qualifications and experiences, searching for the elusive spark that would set one candidate apart from the rest. It was a process he approached with the precision of a surgeon, each detail meticulously dissected, each potential scrutinized under the unforgiving lens of his expectations. His assistant, Margaret, a woman whose presence was as quiet and efficient as the hum of the building's machinery, offered a soft knock, a gentle interruption in the symphony of the morning. "Mr. Mitchell, your 9:30 appointment." There's been a slight change. Thomas's brow, usually smooth and unyielding, furrowed with a flicker of impatience. Changes were disruptions, unwelcome deviations from the carefully orchestrated order of his world. "What kind of change, Margaret?" Before Margaret could articulate the alteration in the schedule, a voice, small yet remarkably clear, pierced through the hushed atmosphere. "Excuse me, sir. Mom's sick, so I came instead." The words hung in the air, shimmering with an unexpectedness that momentarily paralyzed Thomas. He blinked, questioning the reality of what he was hearing. His gaze drifted past Margaret, settling upon the figure standing in the doorway, a little girl with blonde pigtails that bounced with an innocent energy, her age seemingly suspended somewhere around 6. She was a vision of youthful charm in a pink dress adorned with a gray cardigan, her small hands clutching a folder, her tiny knuckles white with the effort. "I'm sorry, what?" Thomas stammered, the carefully constructed facade of his composure showing its first crack. He rose slowly, his movements deliberate, as if navigating unfamiliar territory. The little girl stepped forward, her confidence defying her size. "I'm Christina Walsh. My mommy, Sarah Walsh, was supposed to come for the job interview today, but she woke up with a really bad fever and couldn't get out of bed. She said this job was really, really important. So I told her I would come and explain everything to you." Thomas found himself speechless, his mind struggling to reconcile the unexpectedness of the situation with the rigid expectations that governed his professional life. In his years of navigating the cutthroat world of business, he had faced daunting challenges, from hostile takeovers to boardroom clashes that could leave grown men emotionally scarred. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for this. Margaret, ever the pragmatist, cleared her throat gently, breaking the silence. "Should I reschedule the appointment, sir?" Thomas's gaze drifted down to Christina, whose wide, earnest blue eyes held a depth of worry that seemed far too heavy for such a young soul to bear. Something in her expression, a flicker of resilience mingled with vulnerability, sparked a chord within him, a faint echo of his own childhood, of his mother's tireless efforts to provide for their family. "No," Thomas said, the word escaping his lips before he could fully process the decision. "Please, have a seat, Miss Walsh." He moved around the table, extending a gesture of unexpected courtesy, and pulled out a chair for Christina, assisting her as she climbed into the oversized seat. She placed her folder carefully on the table, smoothing the surface with her small hands, a ritual that spoke of a deep-seated respect for order and preparation. "Thank you, Mr. Mitchell," she said, her voice laced with a politeness that belied her age. "Mommy taught me to always say please and thank you." Thomas settled back into his chair, leaning forward slightly, his curiosity piqued by this extraordinary encounter. "Tell me about your mother, Christina. What kind of work does she do?" Christina's face lit up, transforming her features with a radiant joy. "Oh, Mommy is the smartest person in the whole world. She used to work at a big office before I was born, doing something with numbers and computers. But then Daddy got sick and couldn't work anymore, and Mommy had to take care of him and me." Her voice softened, her expression clouding with a shadow of sadness. Daddy went to heaven last year. Mommy says he's not hurting anymore, but sometimes I hear her crying at night when she thinks I'm sleeping. A wave of emotion washed over Thomas, a sensation he rarely allowed himself to acknowledge. He had built walls around his heart, fortifying himself against vulnerability, viewing it as a weakness in the ruthless arena of business. But this child's unfiltered honesty, her raw and poignant account of her family's struggles, disarmed him with its unexpected purity. "I'm very sorry about your father, Christina," Thomas said, the words carrying a sincerity that surprised even him. "Thank you," she replied solemnly. "Mommy says he would be proud of how brave I'm being today." She opened her folder with meticulous care, revealing a handwritten letter, the paper slightly crumpled from the grasp of her small hands. "She made me practice what to say. She wrote it all down so I wouldn't forget." Christina began to read in a clear, practiced voice, her words echoing in the silent room. "Dear Mr. Mitchell, my name is Sarah Walsh, and I am very interested in the accounting position at your company. I have 7 years of experience in financial management and a degree in business administration from State University." As Christina continued to recite her mother's qualifications, Thomas found himself more captivated by the child herself than by the words she was reading. There was something remarkable about her unwavering determination, the way she sat ramrod straight in the oversized chair, her feet dangling inches from the floor, her eyes fixed on him with unwavering focus. It was a display of resilience that defied her age, a testament to the strength of her character. When she finished reading, Christina looked up, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and anxiety. Mommy also sent her resume and some papers that show how good she is with numbers. She stayed up really late making sure everything was perfect. Thomas took the documents, scanning them briefly. Sarah Walsh's credentials were indeed impressive, certainly worthy of serious consideration. But it wasn't the resume that held his attention, it was the extraordinary child who sat before him, embodying the spirit of her mother's unwavering dedication. "Christina," he said gently, "this must have been scary for you, coming here all by yourself." She considered his words seriously, her brow furrowed in thought. "A little bit. But Mommy always says that when something is important, you have to be brave. And this job is really important because," she paused, looking down at her hands, her voice barely a whisper, "because sometimes we don't have enough money for groceries, and Mommy pretends she's not hungry, so I can eat more." The words struck Thomas with the force of a physical blow, a jarring reminder of the stark realities that existed beyond the polished facade of his privileged world. He thought of his own pantry, always overflowing with abundance, of the expensive restaurants where he entertained clients without a second thought about the cost. The casual extravagance of his life suddenly felt obscene in the face of this child's simple, heartbreaking honesty. "How did you get here today, sweetheart?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. "I took the bus," Christina said proudly. "Mommy taught me which one to take and where to get off. She gave me exact change and made me promise to come straight here and then straight home." Thomas shook his head in amazement, marveling at the resourcefulness and responsibility this little girl possessed. At 27, he considered himself successful, driven, and mature, yet this 6-year-old had displayed more courage and resilience in one morning than he had exhibited in months of comfortable routine. "Christina, I want to ask you something, and I want you to be completely honest with me. What do you think about your mother?" Her face lit up like a sunrise, her eyes sparkling with adoration. "Mommy is the best mommy in the whole universe. She makes the yummiest pancakes, and she reads me stories every night. And when I have bad dreams, she lets me sleep in her bed. She works really hard at her part-time job at the diner, but she always makes time to help me with my homework." She leaned forward conspiratorially, her voice dropping to a whisper. "And she's super smart. Sometimes when I can't figure out my math homework, she explains it in a way that makes it seem easy. She says numbers are like puzzles, and once you know the secret, they all make sense." Thomas found himself smiling genuinely, a warmth spreading through his chest that he hadn't felt in weeks. "She sounds wonderful." "She is," Christina said firmly, her voice unwavering. "But she's been really worried lately. I heard her talking to Grandma on the phone, saying she didn't know how we were going to pay for my school clothes next month. That's why this job is so important. Mr. Mitchell, Mommy needs someone to believe in her." The simple words, spoken with such earnestness and vulnerability, carried a weight that Thomas felt deep within his soul. When was the last time someone had needed him to believe in them? His world was filled with contracts and negotiations, profit margins and strategic planning. But the act of believing in someone, of offering unwavering support and encouragement, was something he had forgotten how to do. Christina, I want you to know that coming here today was very brave. Your mother should be proud of you. Does that mean she gets the job? Christina asked hopefully, her eyes wide with anticipation. Thomas hesitated. The truth was, he had already made his decision the moment this extraordinary child had walked into his office. But there were procedures to follow, other candidates to consider. Or were there? Did the rigid rules of corporate protocol truly matter in the face of such compelling evidence of character, resilience, and unwavering love? I'll tell you what, Thomas said, reaching for a business card and scribbling something on the back. I want you to give this to your mother. Can you tell her that I'd like her to come in tomorrow morning when she's feeling better so we can talk? Christina took the card carefully, holding it as if it were a precious treasure. Does this mean good news? Thomas looked into those hopeful blue eyes and made a decision that had nothing to do with business protocols and everything to do with the kind of man he wanted to be. He wanted to be a man who recognized courage, who valued loyalty, and who understood the transformative power of believing in someone. Christina, I want you to tell your mother that sometimes the best interviews happen when we least expect them. And today, she sent the very best representative she could have chosen. Christina's smile could have illuminated the entire building. Really? Mommy's going to be so happy. As Thomas walked Christina to the elevator, ensuring she had cab fare for a safe trip home instead of taking the bus, he realized that something profound had shifted within him. This child, with her unwavering love and remarkable courage, had reminded him of something he had lost in his relentless climb to success. The simple power of showing up for the people we love, of offering support and encouragement, of believing in their potential even when they doubted themselves. That evening, Thomas called his own mother for the first time in months, simply to hear her voice, to reconnect with the woman who had instilled in him the values that had shaped his life. And the next morning, when Sarah Walsh walked into his office, nervous but hopeful, he offered her the position before she had even sat down. Your daughter, he told her, his voice filled with genuine admiration, gave the most compelling interview I have ever witnessed. Some acts of love, Thomas learned that day, speak louder than any resume ever could. And in that moment, surrounded by the hushed elegance of his office, he understood that true success wasn't measured in profits and accolades, but in the quiet acts of kindness, compassion, and unwavering belief in the human spirit.